Hello, my YouTube family. This is OG Crypto New Jack coming at you with some juicy news. But before I begin, let me say I'm not a financial advisor. Anything you see or hear in this video is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice. Remember to do your own research and to speak with a qualified professional before making investment decisions. Okay, we'll begin today taking a look at the crypto market. The cap today is 1.1 trillion and is up 0.2%. Coming in at number one is Bitcoin at 25,963. Coming in at number two is Ethereum at 1,737. And our beloved XRP is coming in at number six at 50 cents. Taking a look at crypto bubbles, we have the Trust Wallet token as a top gainer, up 19%. And it looks like it's going to be XRD as the biggest loser, that is down 6.3%. The Fear and Greed Index is coming in at fear at number 46. And we're going to start today as a reminder, the Hinman emails that were released yesterday. John D is going to do a live cast starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you don't want to miss that. Moving on, shout out to Ashley Prosper, who's been a complete beast putting out information. She writes, just in case you think the unsealed documents are a nothing burger. Number one, ETH free pass has been confirmed. Number two, regulatory capture confirmed. Number three, Hinman ethics breach confirmed. Number four, market confusion confirmed. Number five, SEC overreach with the Howey analysis confirmed. Number six, Ripple's fair notice defense affirmed. If that's a nothing burger, I'll take 100 more, please. And you know what? I agree 100%. And continuing with her, she writes, Vitalik Buterin didn't just try to get the ETH free pass, which I understand. No, he simultaneously tried to help the SEC shut the door on every crypto project that wasn't operating on the Ethereum network. He tried to create a monopoly that JP Morgan, Consensus, the EEA, that's the Ethereum Alliance, Jay Clayton, Simpson Thatcher, Bill Hinman, A16Z, and all the ETH whales would benefit from. They all acted unethically, and some even acted illegally. There's no wonder the DOJ tried to get Stephen, not even know how to pronounce that last name, to give up the goods on the Ethereum. Joseph, and who's to say he didn't? The case against Stephen was mysteriously dropped after he had already been indicted. And let me tell you, folks, that doesn't happen that often. If I were Lubin or Vitalik, I'd be running back to Sweden. Oh, wait, that's right. They can because they screwed over 35 employees by secretly selling core parts of the Ethereum business to JP Morgan and are now being sued in Swiss court, or at least Joseph is. Everywhere they go, everything they touch turns into crap. Wonder why. Here you have Crypto Insight UK. Shout out to them. People are constantly asking me when this case will be over and what is next. The next step is summary judgment. For this, Judge Torres has to tread so carefully with her answer. She has thousands of documents to take into consideration and around 100 XRP holders via Johnny Deaton. Anything she says in this ruling will be scrutinized to the nth degree and possibly manipulated by either or both parties if there is even a fraction of a possibility to do so. Not only this, the Ripple versus SEC case is being deemed the biggest non-fraud litigation in the USA since the introduction of the Howey test. Her decision will most probably be quoted in any and all lawsuits regarding crypto in the USA for the foreseeable future. Torres has to get this decision right. I would prefer her taking her time and delivering a watertight ruling. However she decides, then a vague, unclear decision. The pressure is really on her, as I mentioned above, 100K of the general public fighting the agency who claim to protect their best interests puts an extremely interesting dynamic on this case. A final point, Torres' decision is essentially going to decide the future of Web3 in the USA, at least in the short term until Congress gets their act together, which realistically probably won't be until after the next election. And I could not agree with him anymore because Congress, even though they're coming up with bills and legislation, you know what, you need both sides, the House and the Senate, and then you need the president, currently Joe Biden, to sign it into law. And he seems to be kind of anti-crypto at the moment. So we may have to wait until after the 2024 election. Moving on, shout out to Cowboy Crypto. He writes, some labeled it a draft and others labeled it speech, but only Hinman made sure to label it ether speech. So you already have what was he thinking? To give Ethereum and Ethereum only that free pass. He wasn't looking out for anybody else but Ethereum, and we all know why. He had $15 million of reasons why he was getting paid, he got paid from System and Thatcher. Okay, moving on. Kim.com puts out, Africa says bye to the US dollar. The president of Kenya, Williams Ruto, urges African nations to dump US dollar under tumultuous applause. With every nation that rejects the US dollar as reserve currency, the US government will pay a higher price for printing money, inflation. And this is what's going on. You got these African countries trying to dump the dollar, the BRICS nations, and those BRICS nations is just five, but there's a bunch of countries that are trying and are applying to be part of the BRICS nation. So before you know it, the BRICS nation is going to be a group of 15 to 30 by the time they finish applying and getting accepted. And that only spells the demise for the American dollar. Okay, moving on. CoinDex puts this thing out. It says that Sam Bankman-Fried can contest extra DOJ charges. The Bahamas Supreme Court has stated, and you know what? I don't even want to. This guy is a fraudster, and he shouldn't get anything, just to go to jail, in my opinion. Laura Shin, she puts out, interviewing SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce, aka Crypto Mom, tomorrow. What questions should I ask? And Metal Lawman says, ask her whether, number one, she voted to authorize the suits against Coinbase and Binance, and number two, if she believes Gary Gensler should have recused himself from involvement in the decision to sue Binance, given his discussions with CZ about serving as an advisor and the launch of BNB. And you know what? I really don't know what to think about her, but the question that I would ask, and I put it on that thread, is, are you part of the problem or you're part of the solution? And if you're going to be part of the solution, then what is she going to do to get the credibility the SEC has lost to the American people? Because if she is going to sit there and look at everything that's going on, all the nefarious things, all the things that are corruption, all the things that she knows is not right, and do nothing about it, then in my opinion, she's just as bad. And she doesn't deserve the name Crypto Mom. She deserves the name Crappy Mom. Because even if you're not involved directly, if you're watching it and allowing it to happen, then you're not, in my opinion, you're just as bad as the rest of them who are actually doing all the nefarious and corrupt things behind the background. Okay, moving on. We have John Dean. He puts out, people need to know that even if an SEC enforcement lawyer had written a Howey analysis on XRP and concluded sales of XRP do not meet all the factors of the Howey test, a judge could disagree and find they do. Likewise, if an enforcement lawyer found that XRP was a security, the judge could disagree and rule otherwise. Now, these memos, one SEC external XRP memo finding XRP was not a security, or it's inconclusive, not made public but read by the judge, and a third party's XRP memo sent to the SEC arguing XRP is not a security, could have some impact on the judge's decision on whether Brad Garlinghouse or Chris Lawson were reckless in not knowing XRP was being offered, sold as a security. If the SEC itself was struggling in 2018 to determine whether XRP was being offered, sold as a security, could these two executives still be reckless in 2013? And I think we all can concur that they were not reckless if the SEC, the government agency itself, couldn't determine whether it was a security or not. Okay, moving on. Cointelegraph, they put out that the Ripple Chief Legal Officer, Stuart Alderati, has demanded an investigation into potential conflicts of interest that might have motivated former SEC official William Hinman when giving his infamous Ether speech. Okay, moving on. We have Ron Hammond here. He is from the Blockchain Association. He puts out the major takeaways from today's hearing were, and this is from yesterday, stablecoin legislation seems more bipartisan and feasible than a few months ago. And number two, the Financial Services Committee Dems are starting to align more with their Democratic colleagues at the House Agricultural Dems on a need for a market structure bill. Not all, but many. Well, that is a move in the right direction. So in other words, we're getting more lawmakers on the side of creating regulations for the crypto space. And moving on, speaking about lawmakers, we have a Representative Mike Flood, and here he is asking a question to the CEO, Aaron Kaplan of PROMETHEUM. This is the gentleman that a couple of weeks ago was in Congress, where he was on a panel with, I don't know, 6 to 8 different people in the crypto space, and they were all asked if crypto regulations are needed, and they were asked individually one at a time, and they all said yes, more crypto regulations are needed, and he was the only one to say no. Now, my thing is, anybody who says no, there's a reason behind that, and I'll tell you that after I play this clip.
I'd like to start by to read a question from a comment letter that PROMETHEUM sent in response to the SEC's December 2020 Special Purpose Broker-Dealer Framework. Quote, "The definition of a digital asset security as used in the proposal is a digital asset that meets the definition of a security under the federal securities laws. This definition puts a burden on the industry to determine which digital assets are securities. As a result, we believe the clarity is needed to understand the regulatory framework they must comply with," end quote. That was in a letter dated April 26 from PROMETHEUM, specifically signed by Benjamin S. Kaplan, co-CEO of the company. I offer this into the record without objection. This concern, which PROMETHEUM themselves raised in 2020, probably sounds familiar for those who track this committee closely. It is the exact same concern we've heard from witnesses in front of this committee before. How can a broker-dealer register if they don't know which assets are a security and which are not? Further, it makes the same argument that other firms have made, that the lack of clarity from the SEC puts an undue burden on the industry. Mr. Kaplan, in your testimony, you were very confident that no new legislation is needed in the digital asset space to clarify this question. What has changed between the date of this letter in 2021 and when your firm called for clarity, and now? What has changed?
Over the 2+ years since that time, there's been additional enforcement actions and statement by the SECs, which have clarified any questions that we had in regards to the designation of a digital asset as a security.
Mr. Kaplan, PROMETHEUM's website says that PROMETHEUM ATS supports, quote, "many tokens that mostly trade on crypto exchanges," end quote. I'd like to dig in on that just a little bit. Can PROMETHEUM customers trade in Ether? If your answer is yes, please explain how.
Not currently.
Can PROMETHEUM customers trade in Bitcoin? If your answer is yes, please explain how.
No.
Just for the audience at home's benefit, Ether and Bitcoin make up more than 60% of the digital asset market. Mr. Kaplan, given that either Ether and Bitcoin make up more than 60% of the digital asset market, if the current system is working, why can't your customers trade the most popular and widely used digital assets?
Regulation and new ATSs and custodians should take a crawl, walk, run approach, and essentially they will proceed to add additional assets and abilities as time goes on. I'd like to point out when the... I'm
going to reclaim my time. Mr. Kaplan, did PROMETHEUM receive any additional exemptive relief from the SEC that has not been publicly shared?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. PROMETHEUM's special purpose broker-dealer license does not address the core issue. There is not a consistent definition of a digital asset security within current law. This point was made obvious when Chair Gensler could not say definitively whether Ether is a digital asset security when asked by Chairman McHenry in this very room a couple months ago. In other words, that same question that PROMETHEUM themselves raised in their 2021 comment letter is still unanswered. That's why legislation is needed. That's the problem that the chairman's bill works to solve. To testify in front of our committee that your company's charter, which only allows for trading in a very small subset of assets, is evidence that no legislation is needed just doesn't make sense. If anything, the fact that PROMETHEUM's customers cannot trade some of the most popular digital assets is an illustration of the broader problem, Mr. Kaplan.
Exactly. Now, my opinion is this, and I am going to be wearing my tinfoil hat, conspiracy theory, and anybody who thinks the rules of the road are clear, there is no need for any further or more regulation. I think anybody who thinks like that, they were part of the Ethereum free pass and have benefited greatly and continue to benefit greatly. And they do not want regulations, because then that will level the playing field. And if there's a leveling of the playing field, then Bitcoin and Ethereum, I hate to say this, but they're not that they're going bye-bye, but they're going to be used a lot less, because who in their right mind is going to continue to use the Bitcoin blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain, and pay a lot more in fees and wait a lot longer as far as transaction speed, when they can go to other use cases such as XRP, XLM, Cardano, ADA, Algo, you name it. There are a bunch of quicker, faster, cheaper alternatives, and that's what you get when you get a level playing field. Everybody has a chance, and the market will decide. And I know for a fact the market will decide to get things done quicker and cheaper. They're not going to decide to wait longer and pay more. And that's my take on it, and I'll leave it at that. So, okay, fam, that's going to do it for today's video. If you found this video to be helpful, would you please smash a like and subscribe? I would really appreciate it, and it doesn't cost you anything. Thank you much in advance. And in the words of Snoop Dogg, keep your mind on your money and your money on your mind. Peace out, fam.